Hey, Shri, I just booked my flight to the upcoming grocery shop conference, September 19th to the 22nd in Viva Las Vegas.
Lucky you, Peter. But if you're not already registered, you can go check them out. It's a great CPG grocery event. Have over 100 speakers already signed up. Executives from Amazon, Sam's Club, DoorDash, Unilever, Whole Foods, and a whole bunch of other retailers, service providers, and brands come to the event.
As we know, the pandemic massively accelerated transformation in the CPG space. So it will be really interesting to hear from these innovative companies and their leaders.
Plus, Peter, there'll be tons of networking events, just as most of the other events in this industry, opportunities for conversations, learning, etc., on site as well. Should be a good time. I know, Peter, you're going to be there, and so will our Fresh Folk co-hosts, Andrea and Melissa. So come hang out with them and have a good time.
You can learn more about it by visiting www.groceryshop.com.
Welcome to another episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Our co-hosts, Shri Rajagopalan and Peter V.S. Bond, explore how brands and retailers engage with consumers online, in-store, and everywhere in between. And now, here are Shri and Peter.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to this episode of the CPG Guys podcast. Of course, I'm one of the two CPG guys, and joining me is my friend, buddy, and my co-host, the man that I sometimes refer to as the man with the golden voice, or 007 himself. Mr. Bond, how are you today?
Shri, if I were any better, I'd be dead. No, I don't mean that. Seriously. I'm doing great, man. I'm loving this. You and I have a lot of fun doing this podcast. Every week we talk to more interesting people. We learn so much from what we're doing. What can I ask more than going on this journey with you? So thank you for being my ride or die.
You sound like my spouse, Peter.
She's legally required to put up with you, not me.
There we go. It's the legality aspect. That's what he brings into the conversation. Thanks, man. Very helpful. But before we get to our guests today, I want to remind our audience that all our content, including our Women's Leadership Series, which was featured in Q4 of 2020, where Peter and I were able to donate $8,000 to the Susan G. Komen Fund, our profitability that you asked us for, including a pro forma P&L and what e-commerce P&Ls look like versus national retail, things of that nature, and an ongoing Founders and Startup series in Q1 and Q2 of this year, 2021. You can find it simply by going to cpgguys.com, and you can listen to our podcast on 20 plus platforms. Peter, is there a subscription fee, or what does it cost?
It's nothing, Shri, and actually we're on 40 plus platforms now. Like seriously, 40.
Look at that. Shri's getting outdated on his own show. That's what Peter wanted to send the message. Thanks, man, yet again. But wait, folks, did you know we have an Instagram channel? It's simply CPG Guys on Instagram, and every Sunday we publish a Fresh 4 on IGTV, and you can catch that. If you want to catch up for the year, all the episodes on IGTV of the CPG Guys, which is the 4 hottest newsworthy topics in the CPG industry that we carefully curate and pick in our partnership with RetailWid, you can do so by going to our channel and jumping into IGTV. 5 minutes long each, fun, and now we also have Andrea Lay joining us in the mix, and Melissa Burdick from the industry. So is it really the Fresh 4, Peter? That's what I think it is.
They make it the Fresh 4 Plus because they alone are more than just 2. They're 2 plus.
They are the plus in the Fresh 4 for
they
sure.
They are the plus
in
the Fresh 4. Yeah, they are awesome.
That said, folks, we love to hear from you, how you want us to shape the show, who you want on the show. You can continue to do that by leaving us a rating and review on the Apple platform, or simply join this growing LinkedIn family of over 6,500 organic users right now, which you can do by going to linkedin.com/company CPG Guys, or simply going to the search bar, typing CPG Guys and hitting that blue plus button, and you can follow us and contribute and join the conversation. But I want to also let you know that we have an upcoming feature, the Northwest Arkansas podcast, which is all about Bentonville. And we also have a co-podcast we did with Jordan West, where for the first time, the CPG Guys were put on the hot seat by Jordan, and we were asked a bunch of questions in the industry. So that is upcoming in the next 8 weeks or so. We had a lot of fun recording that with Jordan.
Blast. We had a blast, didn't we, Sri? That was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. And
but
we made
the Northwest Arkansas Chamber of Commerce, that's going to be a real humdinger.
I can't wait for that one, and that recording is actually just a few days away. So that should
we're
be
getting
fun.
Ready.
And it coincides with the week I'm actually in Rogers, so that should be fun.
You're going to Arkansas? Why would you go there?
Because I like the Chewy's which is near Main Street. I love the sauces. I can't pass up on the sauces.
You can't pass.
Boom sauce, man. That's the one.
Boom chicka pop pop.
Now, he's even better. He's got the name down to the bone.
There you go.
Our topic today is with a company on a mission to go digital, on a mission to make digital grocery marketing better. As more consumers continue to shop online, buy online, brands and retailers need new and innovative ways to engage with these shoppers. That contextual commerce approach to shopper marketing extends beyond your brand's reach amongst ready-to-buy consumers outside of the retailer environment. I call that being in the moment, aka contextual commerce. Reaching grocery shoppers online has never been simpler, or let's say doable at scale. Chicory's network spans over 1,500 recipe websites, 5.4 million recipes, a whopping 5.4 million recipes. If I could just, Peter, learn to make 10 of them well out of 5.4 million, this would be awesome. And
Shri, you're just fortunate that Kavita is such a phenomenal chef.
It's a blessing, Peter.
Phenomenal chef.
It is a blessing. And they reach over 100 million shoppers a month. So I call it #recipes is it. Chicory-powered recipes reach the primary grocery shopper in the household as they plan their purchase. What can be a better moment for contextual commerce? We had launched a 3-part series over 2 months ago with the team at Chicory. Something like immortalizing your brand in a meal solution by making it a solution way. How'd you like that, Peter? How'd you like my statement?
I love it.
And I don't drop immortal just because I really care. We're talking about an engaging experience at scale that instantly connects you with your target consumer with a solution mindset. Our first episode, of course, was with the co-founders Uni and Joey. Joey came back in episode 2 with Megan Howard, the VP of Sales. And on this, drumroll please, Peter, our guest for the third part of the series is the newly minted president of Chicory. He was the CEO of Crisp Media, guiding it through an acquisition by Quotient. And we have Ethan Goodman, SVP of Commerce Media at the Mars Agency. Folks, please join Peter and me in welcoming Jason Young and Ethan Goodman. Gentlemen, how goes the day today?
It is great. Super happy to be here. Big fan of the show and really happy to have Ethan here with me. So we're excited to do this.
All right. Well, thank you guys. As Jason said, one, I'm a bit of a CPG Guys fanboy, so very exciting day in the Goodman household. And Peter, I think we should let our buddy Brian Hignan know that technically I made the pod before he did.
Oh, snap. There's nothing like throwing shade at Brian Hignan. Do you hear that, Brian? And Ethan, I'll just say, so great to have you on. You know that Rob Rivenberg, your CEO, is a friend of mine, and obviously Brian was my manager at dunnhumby Lowe's so many years ago, and also runs the Retail Wit business that helps fuel our Fresh 4 every week. So excited to have you on board.
Yeah, it's a very small world. Very excited to be here, and particularly with Jason. We've been working with Chicory for a long time, and Jason and I go way back to the Crisp Mobile and Quotient days. So very fun.
I think we are. We're the OG of the CPG.
I will
hashtag. What do you think about that?
I will
hashtag OG of CPG.
I will hashtag Higdon Goodman Wars. How do you like
there
that?
We go.
HG Wars. HG Wars.
Work it, brother. Work it.
Before we.
It's trending. I just checked.
There you go. Twitter all the way. Jason, as the newly minted president of Chicory, before we get to the questions here and we engage in a conversation about contextual commerce, would you take a moment, please, and give our audience the quick summary of Chicory's business model, including where they can find it easily on the web, and if they wanted to get in touch, what's the best mechanism?
Would love to do it. So Chicory is a contextual commerce platform that connects publishers and the audience of shoppers they reach, retailers and brands, turning recipe content engagement into contextual, shoppable advertising opportunities. That's it in a nutshell. You can find more information about Chicory at chicory.co CHICORY.co. And I'm always just reachable at jason@chicory.co.
Thank you. And if I could ask you to do the same for the Mars agency, Mr. Ethan.
Sure. So let me start with a website, or otherwise I'll forget. So we are at www.themarsagency, TheMarsagency.com. And what I used to say very simply is that the Mars Agency is a global shopper marketing agency that plans and executes best-in-class programming for our blue chip CPG clients that drive sales with their key retailers. That was easy enough for my grandmother to understand, more or less. These days, I would probably amend that slightly to say we're also doing a lot of this work for retail clients as well. So we actually run and operate retail media networks on behalf of a handful of key retailers, most of which are in Canada, but we do some in the United States as well. And then the only other thing that I would say is that increasingly, probably leading up to COVID, but certainly post-COVID, we're talking about the agency less as a shopper marketing agency and more as a connected commerce agency. As retailers are converging their in-store and their digital operations, we think it's really important for our clients to take an integrated approach to traditional shopper marketing and trade marketing, but also e-commerce and media. And we think that we can do that really expertly for our clients.
Peter, as this episode is being recorded, the Canadian government has announced that vaccinated Americans will be admitted to Canada without quarantine requirements as of August 9th, which means I get to go see my parents for the first time.
That is good news, Peter.
2 years. So bravo. I could not be more happy today about the Canadian connection. So thank you.
Couple other things happened. I'm still banned in India apparently, as they don't welcome visitors. And Los Angeles just went back to an indoor mask mandate. That's a terrible regression in the largest city.
You're banned in LA because you're a Yankees fan. That's a very different story.
Well, as long as I wear a mask, apparently I can hide my face. But Jason and Ethan, thank you so much for that. You know, Jason, if you let Peter and me talk, we can just keep talking. So
we don't even need guests. We can just chat amongst ourselves. We're like the Bickersons. That's all we do. We just
thank you. Let me thank you both for that overview, Jason and Ethan. And I assume, Ethan, as they would say in North Jersey, the Mars Agency has nothing to do with chocolate. Is that fair?
We do not, though. As of this past January, they're one of our newest clients, which is very exciting. But I used to get that question all the time, and I would have to qualify. No, we are not the chocolate company.
But Peter and I always welcome chocolate bars, so you don't have to feel shy about that. But why don't we jump to the questions and build upon the prior two episodes? So I'm going to start with Jason first. Jason, you had a successful run at Crisp Media, and then there was the acquisition by Quotient, followed by your private consulting. You decided to join another early stage company in the CPG space. What was it about Chicory that took a career veteran in media and attracted you to come over into contextual commerce?
Well, first of all, thank you for the bio. That makes me feel nothing but old. But that's that's all right. I mean, with age comes wisdom.
Welcome to the club, Jason.
And I've been in the media world for about 30 years now. Had the good fortune of being a part of the digital ecosystem really at its inception in the mid 90s. And if it's one thing I've learned over all those years is that we hit certain inflection points of changed or new consumer behavior that create new ad segment growth, right? The emergence of new ad products within digital that just seemingly explode. We saw it with search. We saw it with social platforms, right? We saw it with the movement to mobile devices. I would argue over the last several years, we've seen it with retail media and the change of the consumer behavior in terms of their focus to engage digitally and to engage on the digital shelf. And, I would submit that we are seeing it right now with this wonderful concept of contextual commerce played out across the open web. And it really drives back to, a foundation around consumer behavior. And the fact is that consumers, particularly during the pandemic, became increasingly comfortable, not only with buying online in categories like grocery where they previously hadn't, but super comfortable with the idea of moving very seamlessly from engagement on content that informed and drove buying decisions directly into transaction, right? So that contextual commerce moment is a new proposition that has incredible strength, momentum, and opportunity for the advertising ecosystem, because it's in those micro moments where brands have the ability to inject messaging that can lead to that seamless transaction that they all seek. So it's essentially the digital shelf extended at scale. And recipe content is the perfect manifestation of it, right? You think about recipe content and the consumer behavior around it. 9 out of 10 shoppers use recipes to drive their shopping lists, right? 75% of shoppers, by the time they get to the retail digital shelf, have already made a product selection, right? Recipes are the number one driver of trial of new products. So it's a point of inspiration. It's a point of brand selection. And man, it's a point of incredible opportunity. So long-winded answer of why I'm at Chicory. Well, Chicory has been hard at work over, many years, establishing itself as a platform leader in contextual commerce advertising and recipes. And with that, there is an enormous opportunity to service this ecosystem in making those moments become actionable, high-performing advertising opportunities. And, quite frankly, it's not just the platform, but it is an amazing team. You've gotten the chance to meet, Joey and Uni, who are just wonderful founders. It's a great culture, and I couldn't be happier, right? I've always been focused on trying to be a part of the next wave of digital as it travels. And I got to do that in many of the stages I described before. I got to do it as retail media came around. This contextual commerce across the open web opportunity could be the one I'm most excited about, and that's why I'm here.
Jason, I'll tell you that my misspent youth of the early 30s was actually found in the kitchens of some of the most iconic restaurants in New York City. I would spend hours doing mise en place at Le Bernardin so that Eric Repair would teach me how to debone a fish, or at WD-50 so that Wally Dufresne would teach me molecular gastronomy. So recipes to me are a part of my DNA. Really excited about that. Ethan, hey, how you doing today? I'm a big fan of the Mars Agency, as I previously mentioned. So I know a lot about your business, but I'm not sure that our audience does. So can you give our audience a view into what you are focused on at the Mars Agency, given that retail media is just about the hottest topic in the shopper marketing space and growing at an exponential rate? Like Shri, we talk about it in every episode. Shri's favorite thing to talk about is, right, it's retail media, right, Shri? It's not the Yankees failing World Series aspirations. It is retail media, right?
He's decided to pick on me today. Don't get me started, Peter, on the Dodgers.
One game out, 3. 1. No. You're 9 games out.
It's still 1.
1, 9.
The way baseball works, it's a World Series and there's one winner, Peter. I'm sorry. There's no participation trophy.
Enough of you. Ethan, so tell us, what are you focused on when it comes to retail media?
Yeah, well, I'll say first and foremost that I'm a Tigers fan. So, that's my starting point for this conversation.
Okay with that. Lovely ballpark. One of the most beautiful ballparks in Major League Baseball.
I don't have a lot. It is beautiful, although I'm kind of.
And it's perfect for a AAA team too.
I'm kind of partial to the old Tiger Stadium at the corner of Michigan and Trumbull, but I don't have a lot of ground to stand on for the baseball conversation. But you're right. Retail media has become a huge topic of conversation among our clients, and therefore my team has probably become the busiest one in our agency. So I lead the commerce media team, a group of roughly 30 media planners and buyers who are really laser focused on helping our clients build what we'd call commerce media plans to drive their business with their key retailers. When we say commerce media, we're talking about any omni-channel touch point that engages a shopper different from a consumer along that path to purchase, that communicates a reason to buy, and that ultimately is driving a sale or a conversion at a retailer. And
hey, Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan, can you, it's great because I love doing this every once in a while. Can you help our audience? Because we're about teaching how the sausage is made, right? We want to decompose. Can you differentiate between a shopper and a consumer?
I feel like we could probably have this debate for 2 hours, and I'm sure that I'll have my strategic planners back in Detroit and in Chicago and New York just cringing as I try to explain this.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but I'm figuring let's just fundamentally break down the difference between the two, because sometimes they're the same, but sometimes they're different.
Yeah. So as I was saying, I think that I might make my strategic planners back in Detroit and Chicago and New York cringe a little bit. But I think ultimately what differentiates a shopper from a consumer is just that a shopper is a consumer who's expressed an intent to buy. So somebody who's realized that they have a need and that they need to buy a product in order to satisfy that need. And I think it's probably about as simple as that.
All right, Jason, we're going to dive a little bit more into Chicory here. So I'd like to know, what is your mission for Chicory? What mission are you on for Chicory? And how does it help brands develop brand equity, which is really your background? And as you mentioned, you have helped brands develop equity for 30 years. How will this connect to developing Chicory as a possible media network of the future as well?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, Sri. And when I think about it, I mean, there's really a couple of missions that we're focused on. Number one, we're on a mission to be the leading contextual commerce ad platform for this ecosystem, right? Number two, we're on a mission to make contextual commerce advertising a big part, not only of just the retail media world, but of the entire digital advertising world, because it should be, right? Again, because it aligns with how consumers are behaving and where brands can best influence, right, with their messaging to drive to the type of purchase outcomes that they desire. We're also on a mission along those lines to make contextual commerce advertising an easy extension from the retail media executions that they're already doing, because it should be an easy extension, right? It should be a very natural extension for on-site retail media digital advertising. Right. And, the way we think about it is, offsite contextual commerce really sits between onsite and then broader programmatic display or social advertising. And this has all emerged really, really quickly. The issue is it's not a particularly easy thing to do, right? It's a relatively hard problem to solve. But that's what Chicory is doing. We're going about solving it with technology and building a really powerful network effect, right? So, our technology is integrated, as you said at the outset, with more than 1,500 recipe publishers representing more than 100 million active shoppers. Our shoppability, exists across more than 47 CPG relevant retailer banners. So the combination of the integration with the retailers, to power the commerce outcome, the integration with the publishers, to power recipe activation and the placement of these highly integrated ads that have the ability to lead the consumer to these great outcomes. That's our mission, right? That's what we're getting up every day, excited to deliver on and excited to drive results around. Because when we do that and when we do it well, everybody wins, right? The brand wins, the publisher wins, the retailer wins. And what gets me super excited is the consumer wins, right? Because we're bringing the consumer incredible utility, out of content. We're giving them seamless path to commerce, right? We're exposing them to highly relevant messaging and advertising that can enhance their shopping experiences. And the best part of it all is we're not doing that leveraging privacy or data, with all the issues going around with that, which very much impacts the programmatic advertising ecosystem. This whole thing trades on context, The power of that content and that contextual moment is what creates this incredible opportunity. So, that's what excites us. That's what this business has been about. And we're taking, the power of that technology and where it's embedded and the scale by which it's embedded, and looking to expand on that aggressively.
So then, Ethan, help us double click down on the partnership that the Mars agency has established with Chicory. How is it helping brands develop? Pardon me. Let me start that again. So, Ethan, help us double click down on the partnership with Chicory. How are you both collectively delivering for the consumer? And give us kind of let's open up the hood of this powerful V8 engine and give us a peek into the understanding of how you are working with Chicory on a day-to-day basis to deliver really powerful capabilities to the brands you serve.
Sure. So we love working with Chicory, not just because Jason is a great guy. Again, Uni, Joey, the whole team, but because we think that Chicory solves a very specific use case or set of use cases for us and our clients as we're building commerce media programs. Different from the use cases that we would find for retail media on-site, off-site. Jason talked a lot about the power of contextual commerce, this notion that increasingly, particularly in the food category, which is very relevant for us, as many of our clients play in that space, that consumers are looking for recipe inspiration, and increasingly we need to intersect consumers and shoppers in those environments. So we work with them very often to, once we get a brief from our clients, to build programs that are going to, again, like solve those very specific use cases, and again, reach shoppers where we think they need to be reached in order to drive a transaction. What we particularly, apart again from I think the brilliance of their product and the suite of products that they're bringing to market. The other thing that we really appreciate about the partnership is they're a really good listener and they're really collaborative. So we at the Mars agency, I think it's in our DNA. We're very opinionated. We run, hundreds of these programs for our clients over the course of the year, and we see what works, we see what doesn't. And what I really appreciate about the Chicory team is we can go back to them and we can deliver feedback that goes through our reps straight to their product team, and we can collaborate on ways to make the product work a little bit better, work a little bit harder for our clients. They often seek our advice as they're bringing new offerings to market about what we think about the user experience, about the functionality, about various elements that kind of surround that. And I think that's what we really value and really appreciate. So great partnership across the board.
One of the great things Ethan just touched on, right, is this idea of, again, enhancing retail media programming with this offsite contextual advertising opportunity. And one of the really interesting things for me coming in fairly new is seeing the incredible receptivity from the retailers themselves. So the retail media networks themselves, have a real interest, right, in aligning what we do with what they do. And that manifests itself in them making data available to be able to measure, right, the offsite contextual commerce programming that we're driving, back into their digital shelf. So that I think is an important indicator of how this stuff all lines up, right, on behalf of the brands who want to think about holistically, how do I reach in-market active shoppers and drive them to the right outcome?
What I hear, Shri, is Chicory is helping enable the collaboration between the retailer and the brand to the benefit of the shopper, really to ensure that the path to purchase is accelerated through the right amount of content and tremendous capabilities that gets products in baskets and gets families fed. That's really powerful.
True, Peter, very much indeed. And now I want to go to the next level of powerful, Peter. And so, Jason, let's get into some predictions here. Obviously, Chicory's business is intersecting in the middle of digital grocery. I'd love to hear your predictions on the future of digital grocery as it intersects with marketing. We just discussed retail media for quite a bit. And that's your mission on your homepage, by the way. What is Chicory's role in enabling that mission?
Yeah, I mean, look, so what we see happening is the continuation of the trends that have just absolutely accelerated over this last year and a half period, right? Digital will continue to be the driving force of the grocery purchase cycle, from the moments of inspiration to planning, actual like product and brand selection, all the way to transaction. But what's going to continue to happen is the cycle is going to just keep collapsing, right? All of those things that we thought of as these very separate steps, all happen in these micro moments of very real-time, fast outcomes. And so with that, as we've been discussing, I believe that, those micro moments, those contextual moments that exist across the open web are going to become incredibly valuable marketing real estate, right? For brands to figure out how they inject their voice, right? Their position, and drive the type of outcomes for their brands that they need and want to drive, right? And the emergence of off-property, again, off digital shelf retail.com, contextual commerce advertising, we believe is going to be an increasingly important driving force, not just of retail media, but of all digital media, right? And, will become a bigger and bigger entity. And we think there's a really, really important role that we as a company and as a platform have to play, in allowing that to happen, to allow it to happen at scale and creating the value for all those constituents.
Ethan, brands are obviously very important to the Mars agency, but so are retailers, as you described in your introduction. Can you talk to us about how your retail partnerships in particular are delivering wins through this partnership you've created with Chicory?
Yeah, I think retail expertise is really, at the end of the day, what we're known for. We say very often that retail is our moat. So on the retail as client side, as I mentioned at the top, we partner with retailers to build and operate and sell their retail media networks. And without getting into specifics, do Jason and I and Uni and Joey think there are opportunities for us to take Chicory forward as a solution for our retail clients? Absolutely. I think that, as we mentioned, there are very specific use cases for Chicory versus retail media. I think the retail media networks have some gaps in a lot of the areas that we've talked about. So it seems like a very natural fit there. And then, I would say on the other side, where we are the agency for the CPG, I think where our retail relationships and where our expertise benefits Chicory is, I think that our people do a really good job. Brian Higdon would be one of those people. They do a really good job of making sure that the merchants and the marketers and the media people on the retailer side of the house understand that even though we may be spending $1 with Chicory and not directly with the retail media network, that ultimately we're driving their business. Because I think that balance of retail and off-platform media is really critical to having a successful program. And I think again, that's where our partnership with Chicory, I think, becomes really powerful. We can go to them and say, yes, we're going to invest very heavily in your retail media network, but we're also going to partner with the guys at Chicory to fill a gap that we see in your ecosystem. But ultimately, we're driving shoppers to your platform, and we're driving sales, be they in store or online. So
Ethan, now we're going to dive into some technical buzzwords here, but very important buzzwords, because here on the CPG guys, we don't use words without decomposing what they are for our entire audience of listeners. And that word is contextual commerce. But I want you to decompose it not for the media and brand audience. I want you to decompose it for sales folks, somebody like me coming from the selling ecosystem of brands. What is the simple English definition of contextual commerce for us? Or, on the contrary, is this just the domain of marketers exclusively?
Yeah, I think that it is absolutely the domain of sales folks, just as it is marketers. So I think that there's relevance on both sides of the house there. And I think that the simplest way that I can put it is contextual commerce means giving shoppers an opportunity to buy wherever they are online or whatever content they're consuming in an online environment at a given moment. So we've talked about at the agency this transition from what I would call place-based commerce, meaning in order to transact, I have to go to a physical store or I have to go to an e-commerce storefront in order to buy. So shifting from place-based to more of like a portable commerce model where I can buy, wherever I am, be it on TikTok or browsing a recipe site inside of the Chicory network. I remember I used to be at Leo Burnett, and Procter & Gamble was one of my main clients. And many years ago, Mark Pritchard at P&G made this declaration that 51% of all display media had to have a buy now button on it. And I think that the spirit of that was right. We want to be able, through contextual commerce, to give shoppers the ability to transact wherever they are in an online environment. I don't think that display advertising is necessarily the best way to drive that type of activity. But again, I think the spirit was right on. So yeah, I think that's really what it boils down to. And again, Chicory's platform is obviously, one of the main players that we look to when we think about contextual commerce. There are some others in the ecosystem as well. But yeah, I'm very bullish. I'm all on board for this kind of contextual commerce revolution.
I laugh a little bit because you're spot on. And I go back to 25 years ago in the wee early days, and this is exactly what we used to talk about, right? This was the original vision of digital advertising was being able to take a consumer from a contextual moment of opportunity directly to transaction. It took us 25 years longer than maybe we thought it would for everyone to catch up and for the technology to catch up. But I do believe we're here now, right? So it's, just really cool and exciting, right, to see that vision come to fruition, right, the way it has now, and to have great partners like Ethan and the Mars Agency leading their clients, both brands as well as retailers, and embracing it.
Yeah, Jason, I just one more quick point on that. I remember it was about 10 years ago, right before I came back to Mars. I wrote a speaker proposal for one of the industry conferences. And I believe the title was something to the effect of, "If content is king, context is queen." And I might even flip that now. But again, that was 10 years ago. And I think, as you said, maybe we were a little bit early at that point in time. But I think that the moment is here now for sure.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, Shri? Jason was talking about this when he was 5 years old.
Wow, you're too kind.
All right, Jason. So let me put you on the hot seat. Don't worry. Joey and Uni aren't listening. It's just the four of us. Let's take a little peek into the future, right? What's on the roadmap? What do you want our audience to know that Chicory is really focused on for the next couple of steps forward in terms of consumer engagement and contextual commerce?
Yeah, look, as I said, I think Chicory has done an amazing job of establishing its footprint, right, both in product as well as in network, right? So the number one objective is, how do we extend that, right? And we recently announced, right, the expansion of our partnership organization, and that manifests itself in a couple of different areas, right? Number one, how do we extend with publishers, right? How do we help more publishers who have equally wonderful intent-based purchase content that's just begging for the integration of a platform that can bring in contextual commerce types of capabilities, both in fulfillment for the reader as well as advertising opportunities for the marketers. And we certainly think about grocery and food first, but again, coming in new, I see this as not being limited, right, to just that category. And there's a whole open web of wonderful contextual commerce moments that are just waiting for this type of opportunity and integration. It's also partnerships with retailers, right? We want to have API integration with as many retailers as we can to translate those contextual moments into seamless commerce experiences for the consumer. And we want to keep going deeper with the retailers within the retail media network organizations, again, creating that alignment so it can be seamless and super easy for brands who are leveraging on-platform advertising to use this new type of off-platform advertising that behaves similarly. And then finally, I think there's a lot of exciting things in the works for us on the product side, particularly the ad product side. We are experimenting with all sorts of new types of ad products, including ad products that can give brands the opportunity to, impact and shift market share in the recipe activation that's going into shopping carts, right? So, right now, most of our ads are appearing on the recipe content pages themselves. But imagine advertising products that don't even need a placement on the page, but just give brands the opportunity to own a category as recipes are pushed into shopping carts. We'll have some exciting announcements on that front in the coming months. But those are the types of things that we think about, right? How do we extend the network, and how do we create more leverageable marketing solutions that are integrated, that are seamless, and that are really, truly optimized for the consumer and for the consumer to navigate easily, right? Because as Ethan said, well, this isn't just traditional put a display ad type of proposition. This is, as much as the context is the value, so too is the ad product, the ad integration, and ultimately the seamless and frictionless conversion to commerce. So we think about all those things and say, how do we go bigger? How do we go wider? And how do we bring this goodness, right, to more places so that contextual commerce advertising truly can assume its rightful leadership place in the advertising ecosystem?
How about that, Peter? Contextual advertising decomposed and put in a box now. Is it pretty clear?
Category exclusivity. That is a novel concept for a promotional strategy. I'll have to ruminate on that for a little bit, Sri.
I may know someone else on this call with category exclusivity, but
don't know
I wonder who it is.
About.
That said, let me remind the audience that you can find all our content, as always, on cpgguys.com. We do appreciate feedback. Many ways to do that. Probably the best way, go to linkedin.com. On the search bar, type CPG Guys and hit the blue plus button, and you can join this increasing family of listeners, and our audience is now over 6,500 on LinkedIn, all organic. I want to thank you, Jason and Ethan, for appearing on this episode of our podcast. And I'd love to hear from you one more time, Jason. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with Chicory, and where can they find you?
Again, chicory.co, and I'm just Jason at chicory.co, and hit me up, and happy to talk.
Ethan, thank you for joining this episode.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Really enjoyed it.
A lot of fun, guys.
My friend Peter, week over week, as you said right up front, join at the hip. We have such a good time talking to the industry, service providers, retailers, and brands. Thank you for being part of this experience, Peter.
Sri, I'm excited. I'm also sad that our proximity is about to change profusely. I'm moving a little. I'm in New Haven, moving a little further to Guilford, Connecticut. You're in New York, moving a lot further to my territory, Los Angeles. What's up with that, Sri? We're like moving in a big way. I'm gonna be closer to Yankee Stadium. You're gonna be closer to Dodger Stadium. We gotta What is going on there? There's some seriously mixed up mojo. So,
little known fact: Peter and I started this podcast at the beginning of COVID. So 95% of our episodes have been recorded this way. And I think this is the way of the future. The digital platforms and leveraging them and being able to collaborate is the way of the future. But Peter and I have been together for 5 episodes as well. So if you folks haven't seen those episodes, the only way you'd know we were together is if you watch the video, which is you have to dig up the clips from, how long ago would that have been, Peter? 6 months?
I think it was like October, when we went to, no, it was pretty, trying to think, when did we go? We did an episode in New Haven at Pepe's and Sally's Pizza. That was this spring. So here's what I'm going to say. Sri, without question, I'll be there for the World Series with the Dodgers because they are going, and there's no way you can deny that.
It's more like you'll come to see the World Series at the Super Bowl in February.
I'm just going to show up. And then for opening day in April. But I'm going to miss having you.
Opening day.
I'm going to miss having you on the East Coast. You're going to be the Tupac to my Notorious B.I.G., right?
And why are you sending me away, Peter, early? We got a few weeks to go here, so
I know, but I'm just like I'm already getting verklempt. The progressive era was neither progressive nor an era. Discuss.
I'm going to make it up to you, and we're going to meet in Stamford for dinner, Peter.
I think we will.
For our audience, folks, let me close this out, and thank you for listening to us. We will see you soon on another episode of the CPG Guys. Have a good one, folks.
Bye.
The content in this podcast episode is provided for general informational purposes only. By listening to our episode, you understand that no information contained in this episode should be construed as advice from CPG Guys LLC or the individual author, hosts, or guests, nor is it intended to be a substitute for research on any subject matter. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by CPG Guys LLC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. The views expressed by CPG Guys LLC do not represent the views of their employers or the entity they represent. CPG Guys LLC expressly disclaims any and all liability or responsibility for any direct, indirect, incidental, special, consequential, or other damages arising out of any individual's use of, reference to, or inability to use this podcast or the information we present in this podcast.